What about the professor's issue about Libya, that Obama is responsible for what happened to, contributing, of course, to removing Colonel Muammar Gaddafi from power in Tripoli? Is Obama the entire United Nations Security Council? I thought the last time I checked, frankly, the 5 permanent members of the United Nations, including the 3 African countries which were on the Security Council at the time. We're talking about South Africa, Nigeria, and Gabon. They voted unanimously for that.
There was no choice but to try to stop Gaddafi. Gaddafi was capable of committing genocide. Those people living in eastern Libya, what they used to call Cyrenaica, Gaddafi considered them an alien people. He didn't consider them Libyans. And believe me, I know Gaddafi very well. After I left government, I had 6 private conversations with him as a non-governmental person. And he was capable of committing genocide. He was ruthless. And he had to be stopped. And clearly, it was the problem of the Security Council. And what amazes me, not that the Africans voted to go against Gaddafi, but that the Russians and the Chinese joined in because they were quite frightened of what could happen. Now, of course, after Gaddafi, and of course the Libyan people were sick of him, they wanted to get rid of him anyway, so they were uprising, and that's why he wanted to commit genocide. But the tragedy was in Mali, with all of his mercenary fighters, the Tuareg fighters coming back from Mali, and found a vacuum. The Malian army was not equipped to fight them because they were all cooperating with the narcotics traffickers in the Sahel deserts.
But you have the same problem right now in Mali.
That's right. Now, Niger, it didn't happen. In Mauritania, it didn't happen because they were ready. The Niger army disarmed the people coming back from Libya. So the problem was not Security Council of the United States. It was a problem of Malian corruption and the disintegration of their army.
And the dictatorship of Muammar Gaddafi.
Correct.
A man who came to power in 1969 and never allowed his people to choose their leader peacefully, never allowed elections, in fact, to be held. What about the fact that the professor also talks about how African leaders are unhappy? They are unhappy, in his words, with President Obama's policies towards Africa. This may probably be a generalization because I have talked to some African leaders who are very, very happy with him, except, frankly, for those that you would characterize as dictators on the African continent.
I travel a lot in Africa. I'm there as a businessman, not as a diplomat, and I don't see this unhappiness with Obama. I think every African leader would like to be invited to the White House, and America is still the shining light for most Africans. The fact that Obama hasn't traveled as much as, say, others, I think may be a problem. But I think Obama has a particular view that some Africans don't appreciate, which is development is your problem. The United States and the Europeans and the Japanese are not going to develop you. You have to do it yourself, and there's certain policies you have to adopt. He has done what I would call tough love. We're here to help you, but if you don't do the reforms that you're supposed to, good governance, democracy, honesty, then nothing can help you, you see. And he's been tough, and I think he should have been tough.
When you look at the process of choosing an American president, Professor Bangura, do you sincerely find it democratic, especially given that this time around, for example, the 2 candidates have Harvard connections? And for the last so many years, frankly, you have either been having Harvard or Yale.
Let's be very clear. Schopenhauer has made it very clear in his writings. We don't have the so-called Greek democracy defined democracy in the United States. Yes, still, it's a good democracy. It's the democracy of the wealthy that have the connection, the right connections. But I have to disagree with the great ambassador on a point. Yes, Gaddafi had his problems. I don't appreciate any developed country leader to think he has the license to eliminate any African leader, because we have a very long history of that, from Patrice Lumumba to Sankara and others. This is no license for any power to do that. And as far as the United Nations Security Council and the United Nations itself is concerned, I have dubbed it the United States United Nations. I've done a very systematic analysis of all the resolutions that the United States have brought to the United Nations, and there is a statistical significance at 0.01 level, which means 99% of the time the United States is going to get its way in the United Nations.
How come it's not getting its way on Syria?
As soon as it misses one, say, for example, did not get the authorization to go to Iraq, what did we do? We said, to hell with the international community, we're going to go to Iraq anyway.
A coalition of the
willing. We are going to pursue our interests.
But how come they have not been able to get a solution on Syria?
This is very dangerous. This is a very dangerous precedent for any superpower, a sole superpower, to have so much extraordinary power in the international community that if I don't get my way, I can go solo because I have the ability, I have the arms, I have the power to do that. Obama's sin began with his one and only trip to Africa. That was in Ghana. He went to Ghana and insulted Africans, calling us tribes that are engaged in
prime. Not insult Africans. I was there.
I have it right here. I have the speech right here, where he calls us tribes that are engaged in primordial tribal violence. Had Bush or any other white president come to Africa and said that they would have hung him by you know what. And before he went to Ghana, where was his first stop? His first stop was Italy. He was in Italy and lauded Berlusconi and talked how great Italians are. At the time when Berlusconi was what? Was under trial for having sex with prostitutes in the presidential mansion. No, we have to be very honest.
I think you are going too far.
No, it's true.
You are going too far, really.
When he did, and he was brought in trial for all kinds of corrupt practices.
Yeah, but I think you are going too far.
But again, he was there. He didn't rebuke them. So what right does he have to come to Africa to rebuke? I'm sharing with you what people are saying on the motherland, what some leaders are saying.
Actually, there's a difference between what some leaders are saying and what the African people are saying.
The
majority of the African people that I have been able to interact with, they have no problem with Obama.
Well, of course, because again, their connection to Obama is that is the first American president whose father come directly from Kenya, so they feel this familiar.
And the African dictators?
That's correct, with this bond. Now again, I am no longer going to be a basher of all African leaders.
No. You can't say, we are not saying
Let's be very clear. There are some.
They are democratically elected presidents on the continent. And again, they have no problems with a President Barack Obama.
Right.
They have had even photo ops. But they are dictators that have been fighting for photo ops.
I've seen African leaders who go to work from 5:30 in the morning and don't go home until midnight. They go, their people are lined up in front of their doors. My child has to go to school. There is a family crisis. There's medicine. These people work extremely hard. I'm no longer going to be.
Let me go to the lifeline of. Let me go to the. Please. One more point. Let me go to the lifeline of the show, because this show also, frankly, happens to belong to the audience.
That is okay.
Good evening, Paul from Liberia. You're most welcome to Straight Talk Africa.
Yeah, this is Paul from Liberia to Straight Talk Africa. Yeah, I want to make my contribution to the people there in studio.
Yes, please.
Hello.
Yes, please.
Yes. I want to ask a question to the man who's sitting in studio representing President and the incoming President Rooney. Hello.
Hello. What is your question, please? I think we're experiencing some technical problems. Could we move on to Daniel in Ghana, please? Good evening, Daniel from Ghana. You're most welcome to Straight Talk Africa.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, yeah. Hello.
Is that Daniel from Ghana?
Yes, I'm on the line. Hello.
Yes, please. What is your question?
Yes. I want to ask a question. This is a general question that I want to ask. And my question is it advisable? We have 3 months for election, and in Ghana, they are creating new constituencies for election to be held. And in Ghana also, we are using the U.S. Constitution, and there is a constitution stated that CI 73, that we did not, we the audience outside, right? We don't definitely know what that means. And we want to verify that, is it advisable that 3 months to election, and our electoral commission are creating a new 45 constituencies? And is that the best thing? And I want to ask, is that the best thing?
Thank you very much. I think if I heard the question perhaps correctly, is whether it's advisable, the fact that Ghanaians will be going to elections in December, that the Electoral Commission should be creating new constituencies.
I think it's very important not to make major changes close to an election. You should give it a long time in order to become ingrained. So I think changes should be made immediately after an election. For example, in Pennsylvania, they tried to have voter ID laws. Well, the judge says, this is fine, but you're doing it too close to the election. You're not giving people enough time to get their voter ID. Do it after the election. So changes should not be made too close to an election because it can distort the results of the election.
And perhaps otherwise it can be construed to be what they characterize as gerrymandering?
Or manipulation.